considering that he is, it doesn't matter chanting wise, it doesn't matter how long it takes him to prepare a magic spell, he can instantly prepare a magic spell because of the fact that he's above time and space. It doesn't matter if, let's say, he needs to prepare, he doesn't really need to prepare. I mean, yes, it's preparation, but it's almost instantaneously, so it doesn't really matter, you know? And considering that that is the case, he can instantly pretty much summon his sword, and I'm not going to even begin to pronounce it. But the sword in itself is the one item that can basically destroy anything. And this is the actual sort of description of it. It is basically a sword that annihilates everything, destroys all creation, laws, and the universe. No matter how strong, eternal, or infinite, the sword will destroy them all. It doesn't follow any reason, nor anything number related. It ignores distance, ignores whether it be magical or conventional, as anything can be reasoned returns to nothing before it. Hence, it's useless to think about what it can and can't do. The only principle is that it allows to exist because, well, for the destruction of Anos' enemies. And even there was this one fight that he had in particular where I think this is probably in the either light novel or manga. I haven't read up to that far, but capable of erasing Graham's conceptual nothingness, which means he can pretty much erase non-existent things. All right. It doesn't matter if it's existent, non-existent, eternal, infinite, nothing. And it's like basically if you think about this, it's kind of comparing it to a gag character. In most animes, gag characters ignore every single thing that's physically possible within their universe, okay? That's sort of the same thing, but in this way, it's actually serious. It's not actual, like, whatever. It doesn't matter, even if they're a gag character, theoretically, Anos can defeat anything, no matter what, with the sword. Alright? I have 2 wikis that sort of showcase, like, the power of the sword and him. And he's at most, I think, universal. I think that's what he's scaled to by himself with as high power as he can. With the sword multiversal, even then I still think with the description of the sword, he can defeat everything.
Alright. Do you have a scan to back up that claim, actually?
You talking about the sources I used?
Yeah. Do you have a scan to like back it up, like what, like that it can actually do what it does?
All right. So in the anime, you know when he was versing the I'm bad with names.
I haven't seen the anime.
You haven't seen the anime? Okay. So in the anime, in the what episode? I think it was the sort of later episodes where he's facing the one what was it, fucking subordinate that was said to be on his side, but not really. He basically trapped him in a separate dimension. All right, trapped him, which anybody in that universe would be completely stuck there forever because of the power that the other dude, the subordinate, had. That was his unique power. All right. Yeah. Anos basically just swung his sword. All right, and the dude dodged it faster than the speed of light. Okay, faster than the speed of light, because in the dimension it doesn't ignore time and space, but it relatively fast comparative to the Earth. All right, well, to their world. And even though he dodged it, quote unquote, it still pretty much cut his legs off. And since like, let's just say like Goku, for instance, is way stronger than the speed of light. It doesn't even matter if he dodges it, instant teleportation, instant speed. It doesn't matter because if Anos actually can swing his sword, or theoretically not even swing his sword, just uses it just in general, it cannot be dodged. And that's evident in the anime, and it's also evident in the manga, which I think in the manga, no, I'm pretty sure in the manga, he went up against the God of Time. In his universe, the God of Time is supposed to be the God of Time, overlord of everything that's time related. However, Anos was above that law. He even was able to freeze the time gods himself, you know? And I think this is in the light novel because I don't know if it's in the manga yet, but he was able to pretty much defeat the god of devastation and creation, which
Yeah.
by the same sort of logic that or non-logic that Anuses use. Now, in particular, I don't think Anos himself, with his powers, defeated it, but with the ability of the fact that he has his sword, that is the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the source that I'm going to give you. However, I think in the light novel, which I haven't read because I'm not much of a light novel person, it goes into further details that, and that's where most of the information I get sort of brings that information from. So,
Well, do you have a scan to prove that actually just even like a clip to show me that he was able to dodge it and just got sealed away like that, or the abilities of his sword, like anything from like a picture to like a clip.
hold on 1 second. If I can remember his damn name, I would be able to get the specific fight for that.
Oh no, everyone's here now.
Oh my god,
Everyone's
fuck.
watching from night.
Okay, here we go. Um, Alright, this one. This guy. Jesus Christ. Alright. The fuck in that shit? Okay, here it is.
Send the picture of the clip in scans.
I have it's a 2-minute, basically 2-minute clip of really the timestamp is about 55 seconds when he gives it. And you said which one?
Scans.
Scans.
Yeah. All right. What timestamp did you say again?
What's up?
What timestamp?
He basically brings it out at 30 something, but he uses it 1 minute at 1 minute.
All right.
You got it?
Yeah.
Alright. And that's just the anime version, though. Light novel is way beyond that. All right.
I
So
like
anyway,
that.
what's up?
I didn't speak. I don't know who just spoke.
Oh, well, okay. So anyway, I actually want to ask, because I'm not too familiar with Kinji. I only know his like base, abilities. Well, he's pretty much a mech, whatever. And
Oh,
that's the least of I know. So I want to actually ask you, in what way is Shinji? I think I said Kinji. My bad. Shinji. How powerful is he comparatively? Well, comparatively, like, can he what can he do? Because
all right.
all out of all the wikis
So,
I've found, like I couldn't find anything about that. You can go ahead. I'm sorry.
all right. So, okay. So for Shinji, no entity can exist around Shinji, like at all. I can send you a scan right here.
Mm-hmm.
Let me try to find it. I'm sending this in scans, by the way.
Yep.
All right. So this one, Shinji was getting to the peak of his power. It says right here, if this continues, individual entities will be able to maintain their separate forms. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Over here, let me see if I can. I keep scrolling. I hate how far this is. All right. So over here, entities. The definition of entities is a thing with a distinct or an independent existence. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So that right there is when Shinji was getting to the peak of his power. Now Shinji is at the peak of his power.
Where guys
Meaning that if what's it called? I sent in scans. So if
All right, you can go ahead.
all right. So what's it called? So yeah. Entities that okay. So entities are a thing with a distinct and independent existence. So meaning that since Shinji is now at the peak of his power, and it says if this continues, individual entities will be able to maintain their separate forms. Entities that exist around Shinji can't exist. It's impossible, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as Anos is like even like near him, like anywhere around like the world, what's it called? Shinji can't do anything about it. I mean, Anos can't do anything about it. He will be erased.
Okay.
When he's near Shinji.
All right, then that actually is a pretty good point, but that doesn't mean actually. I don't think Anos needs to even be relatively near someone to actually use his sword. Because remember, he's also multiversal. He doesn't even need to be in the same multiverse, the same universe as the person that he's attacking or he's distributing his magic to. Because I think in the same, not in the same one, not in this one. It was this other one that I saw. Let me find it. So much of the shit. All right.
There we go.
All right. So this right here. It's another pretty 2 minute long clip, but the timestamp is 1 minute, 1 minute really again. So just a couple few seconds, and the lines that his subordinate uses is what you really need to look at. Tell me when you're done watching.
Where do I skip to?
1 minute.
All right. One minute.
And it should end around like a few seconds.
Dimension. However, you won't be able to put yourself like that for very long.
All right. Well, you basically saw the first thing he said, though, right? The fact that he was in another dimension, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, Anos, other than the time of law, he also transcends the time of space. So it doesn't matter relatively where Anos is at. He can still theoretically, with his own power, with not even like the sword's power, theoretically attack someone in a completely different dimension. So that means he is multiversal, not multiversal in that sort of sense. Well, interdimensional, I think. I don't know if it's multiversal or not. I don't know how they're really scaling him to be, but he can basically attack anybody from another dimension. So he doesn't need to be relatively in the same universe as Kenshi to attack him. So
All right.
if like,
All right.
yeah, what's up?
All right. So in standard battle assumptions, which is like normal for every debate, it's the standard for every single debate. Let me get okay. Let me get the scan real quick. In these two, just let me do thing. Alright, so in standard battle assumptions, every okay, so both of the people that start in Central Park, New York City. Alright, and they start at around like 4 kilometers away from each other, which is I'm gonna send this right now. This is standard battle assumptions, and so this means that like what's it called? So Anos won't be able to like be anywhere else. They start off there. As soon as Anos steps in the neutral verse, he gets erased by Shinji. Hello.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm here. I'm just reading. Hmm. So, all right. So you're saying as soon as he goes into the neutral verse, he can't exist. Is that what you're saying?
He okay. So you know how like versus battles they have standard battle assumptions and they both start in a neutral verse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Shinji. Okay, not Shinji. Okay, so as soon as Anos and Shinji are both in that same neutral verse, Anos can't exist anymore. Like Anos gets erased, basically.
Okay. Hold on 1 second, because feel like he has a thing for that. I don't know. Hold on 1 second. Depends on how strong his the ability I'm thinking of is.
This is it's like two more scans to prove that that no one can exist around Shinji.
Resistance here. All right. Well, this also could could differ, like could be a little different, considering how you sort of interpret Anos's resistances. For example, his what was it? Fate manipulation, overturning fate can destroy miracles, provinces, and fate alike. and etc. like that. Now, if relatively he was to step into the uh, neutral verse, and he's not allowed to exist based on the fact that that's Shinji's power or his curse, I would say. I don't know what the hell you would
It's a
call
power.
it, but it's a power. All right.
It's kind of like both. Like
So
Shinji, I forget what happens, but like something with like angels and all that, and Shinji. I don't know how to explain it that well. You could it's just a power basically.
okay, and this okay. So other than that, is also how you interpret how far his Onsu's powers can go. Because to be honest, this is the same issue with Saitama right now. Because you can't technically correctly scale Saitama because there's a lot of things unknown about him. You can only scale him by what he's already done, and to be honest, that's a disservice to him because you know he's above that. That's just like Anos in regard because all of his feats are relatively easy for him, and they've never posed a challenge to him. So we can't really scale Anos to the point where it's like we know exactly how far his abilities go. At least in the manga and the anime, as far as that. I don't know about the light novel because again, I don't read the light novels. But if he can, let's say for example, his space time manipulation extends to sort of non-existence like his sword, because his sword can basically is what technically defies all laws and reason, no exception. So technically, if it doesn't sort of extend to Anos, like while he wields his sword, he shares the sword's power. Let's say that is the case, all right? He
Mm.
wouldn't be affected by the fact that Shinji can eliminate all existence,
Wait,
because
sorry. Say that all again. I was
if
sorry. I
if
was doing something.
yeah, if the sword of Anos, which if that power extends to Anos, let's say while he wields the sword, he shares the abilities of the sword. Okay, let's say just to say that's how it's supposed to. That's how it is. All right.
Mm-hmm.
He theoretically cannot. Theoretically defies the reasons and the logic that Shinji poses.
Resay what you said again about the sword.
If the sword basically,
Like Anos and the
def-
sword. Like they something with the same power. I forgot what you said.
if now this has not been confirmed nor non-confirmed, so this is not like something that is true or not because we don't really know, but because it's all theory at this point. But if Anos' sword, all right, if the power that the sword has extends to Anos while he wields it, theoretically he defies all logic, laws, and reason that Shinji poses. So let's say, for example, Shinji can't destroy the sword by itself. He can't. The sword will always exist if that's the case because of its unique power. All right. Now, that's necessarily meaning that it can just fight by itself, but if that power extends to Anos while he wields it, that means he himself is using the power of to defy all known logic, reason, and laws whatsoever, no exception. All right. So
Mm.
if that is the case, then Shinji cannot just poof that guy out of existence because he defies that reason, that logic, that law that Shinji poses on him. However, if it doesn't, Anos goes, but his sword stays. You see what I'm getting at? And
Wait. So wait. Okay.
and
So
this is all
you were talking about a sword, right? And how
yeah.
if he wields the sword, he basically has the same powers of his sword.
It, that's all
And
theoretically because it's not neither confirmed nor denied. All right.
are you
So
using that as a
I'm not
argument?
using that as the argument per se. I'm just using that as if that was the case, then this would happen. If it's not the case, then Anos gets snapped out of existence, and the sword stays. Now he does have a unique regeneration, not like regeneration, but like he can revive himself. I don't know, and this is the reason why it's so hard to scale certain people who are kind of unknown because there's certain like loopholes that you can pretty much use in logic and as far as like with Honest specifically, does this sword's power extend to himself? Does his can he revive from non-existence? Because it doesn't necessarily say that, but it doesn't say otherwise. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't say like because that's exactly. Let's take for example, Rimuru Tempest. If you know that guy, then you know that at one point in the light novel, he can regenerate his soul and body from basically from non-existent. All right, and if that is basically the case with Anos' a power, because he basically actually that actually brought up something else that I remember. In Anos' world, his universe, you have this thing called sources, which I'm pretty sure. Hold on, let me see before I get this wrong. Okay. See, the thing that's the issue with this is there's not as much information on Anos than Shinji, but I'm going to basically take it at word value. So, what a source is basically your entire being in their universe, all right? And if you don't
Mm-hmm.
have a source, you don't exist. Anos was able to basically read, like, sort of, not necessarily like, oh, what the fuck? I need to know this. I have a bad memory when it comes to this stuff, but it's like, in the anime, he said that he basically revived his own source, or like, he basically regenerated his own source. Either that or he used someone else's source and revived himself. Now,
Well, isn't a source an individual identity, which is impossible to be around Shinji with?
but the thing is, even like if you take his power into consideration, even without that existence, he was able to come back because his source was completely ripped from his body, his soul. That's basically the existence of the people in Anos' world. And if that is ripped off, you basically don't exist in the
Mm-hmm.
world of Anos. And if he could come back from that, that means he basically defies non-existence itself because he was able to revive his source and all. That goes the same with Rimuru, who can basically revive his entire being from nothing. So if Shinji does in fact have the ability to have people around him exist no more, that sort of is underneath Anos and Rimuru's regenerative abilities. If you take out what they said at face value. Now, and that's the only reason. That's the only way I can actually scale them is at face value with all the information that I have. Now, this also depends on how far reach Shinji like is. Like, does he defy? Does he also have the same abilities of the sword and defies all logic and known like a gag character or so on and so what? So it doesn't matter if something defies laws and reason or not, it just doesn't matter. See, that's the thing that with Anos is that his sword, it doesn't matter who you pit it up against, the person on the other end won't win because of its innate ability. Now, if Shinji has the same sort of ability, the same sort of hack, basically, if you call it, then that's going to be also on an iffy because it's like which one overpowers the other at that point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't think Shinji, as far as I know, do you know anything that if he has that sort of ability? Because because that would also dictate how the fight goes. If it does go like that, if Shinji does have the same ability, like defies all reason, all logic, then he would win no matter what because Anos wouldn't be able to stand him, but the sword will. Well, the sword might. I don't because still the iffy ground that you can't really say. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
All right. But
All right.
does he have someone like that ability?
Wait. So how does Anos' sword work? Does it like destroy? It's above any laws of
It
logic,
exists
right?
outside of everything. So theoretically speaking, it exists outside of anything. It destroys all creation, laws, and the universe. And it no matter how strong and eternal or infinite it is. And what was it here? It said even on another point in time where it says it doesn't matter if it's non-existent or not. If it exists outside, if it's like 7D balance or whatever, it doesn't matter. The sword still has the ability to take them out. Um, so it's boundless by any sort of laws, no matter what, no exception.
All right. So would it be able to affect someone that is also above the laws of logic and all those?
That
Like that has
is
no boundary.
sort of how you interpret it. That's what I said. If Shinji has the same ability like that, it all depends on how you. It's like it's that's the sort of iffy ground that I'm talking about. Is because you which one overpowers the other one. You know what I'm saying? So maybe it's the fact that they cancel each other out. So sort of speak. So if one is above all known laws and reason, and another thing is above all known laws and reason, they cancel each other out, so nothing happens to either or, which is
Mm.
theoretically how it should go.
Wait, so
And
I have a question.
yeah,
How is Anos gonna take out his sword? Like, how long does it take Anos to take out a sword?
with his power, instantly,
How?
because he himself defies time and space. Okay, that means nothing like as time is irrelevant to him. Okay, and he doesn't necessarily need to speak words to have the magic because his castle is the only thing he needs with to use his sword. Okay, and you would think that would be a downfall, but he can instantly summon his castle, and even in fact with less magical power, he can instantly teleport around. Um, so
Isn't
it all
instant isn't instant only like 10,000 times faster than light?
no, I'm talking about like it defies
Yeah.
all time. So it doesn't matter. It's instantly as far as it defies time. So it's not even faster than light. It's infinitely faster than light. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like bound by numbers or whatnot. It's just it's gonna happen at that moment, no matter what. So like say for example, you had two people who were above time and space. They are going to be the same speed no matter what because they are above time. All right. That so if it's instant or not, or if someone says if someone can instantly do something, then that means also the other person can instantly do something because that's just how it works. Because if you're on the same level of above time, one necessarily doesn't cancel out the other. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you're above time, it doesn't matter, it's irrelevant. So in that sort of regard, it doesn't matter how long he would have taken on normal means to summon his castle because he's above time and law. It's just there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And if theoretically, if that's the case, then he can basically whip out his sword while also swinging his arm in the blink of an eye to anyone at his same level. Because to them it would still be instant, but they're all both instant. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Uh-huh.
all it's sort of a hard sort of battle when you're taking into account like if they're at the same level, then to them they're going to be basically looking like normal people, but with everyone else, it's like you can't define it, you can't reason with it, and that's sort of like what I said when it comes to the power of Honest's sword. It's like you can't really reason with it because it doesn't matter; it's irrelevant to the sword. So, like, if someone can have the same power as Honest's sword, then I theoretically think it can just cancel each other out, and they exist no matter what. They can't cancel each other's existence. You know?
Mm-hmm. All right. So I'm just gonna say that Anos won't be able to pull out his sword in time by the time that Shinji erases him, because Anos' sword is instant, right? It comes out immediately as soon as he wants
Hmm.
to, right? Shinji's
Theoretically,
ability is a passive ability.
but passive ability or not, it theoretically doesn't matter. I mean, he's above time and space, but Honest is also above time and space. Time and space, like
No. All right. So look, what's it called? It's an instant ability that he can use. All right. If Anos, all right, look, wait, let me get this thing real quick. Wait. State your statement again. I'm getting off track. I'm trying to find this scan and then
Shit.
say your statement again.
Um.
With the whole above time and all that.
Okay. So, if Anos is above time and space, that means time is irrelevant to him. If Shinji is above time and space, that means time is irrelevant to them. All right? They would be relatively at the same level because time doesn't mean anything. So instant or not, that doesn't mean anything. It's just going to be there, you know? It's like, so um let's say instantly to one person, let's talk about perspective wise. Instant to someone on Earth will be different to instant for someone who's for people on the same level of above time, because instant would be like it would be significantly faster than instant in our eyes. So having that sort of like thought process going on, it's infinitely like just faster. Like it's just not gonna, because time is irrelevant for someone who's boundless by time. And I don't think I can really grab anything that's says it better, because it's just that's what it is. It's absurdly just irrelevant. It doesn't matter.
All right.
Okay.
So we both agree that the sword and oh my god, Momo was mad at me. Oh no, I don't know how to be Shinji. I'm sorry, man. All right.
No.
So do we both agree that that Shinji's above logic at least, or do I have to prove that real quick?
I would say you have to prove that, because I haven't seen anything stating that. Like
All right.
if he has a similar power like that, yeah.
All right. I'll just prove right now then. Let me find the scan for this actually. Oh, this one right here. Another one.
Oh, that's cool.
Where's the other ones I have? Where the fuck did I put it? Well, yeah, that's the main one right there. That Shinji right there. It says
Mhm.
it's a world of freedom where there's nothing restricting you, meaning that Shinji has no boundaries compared to that. He has like no restrictions.
Uh,
You could say he's above logic, but
you
I think
could,
he's
but it's
way
like
more.
that's like a debate. Where is there like anything like fuck, what am I saying? Like concise. Fuck, I'm think I'm also having a stroke here. Fuck. All right. All right. Is there like anything like a article or like a wiki or something that states this, like that has actual like word information that I can look at? Because that'd be a lot more helpful than, because it's like you in the anime you can't really describe things into the details because you're trying to put it into time. So it's like it depends on how you interpret that. In all honesty, so if there's something that actually concisely says it, it would be a lot easier.
uh, aren't we just using original scales? Why are we using wikis?
No, I'm trying to say like in concise, something that actually just describes it. It doesn't have to be wiki or not. Just putting in the words, because like you can take nothing restricting you in a whole bunch of ways. Like it's just it's hard to like sort of. So if it was on the scale of Anos' sword, like let's just theoretically say that it is, because that would be the basically the top of the top, because nothing, it defies everything. They defy everything. Okay, then yes, theoretically at that point, if Anos doesn't share the same abilities as his sword while wielding it, Anos could basically just be destroyed, and the sword will still be intact though.
Mm.
However, if it's the way that I theorize it, because really, Anos's character isn't done yet, so there's no, you can't see everything that he's capable of. Or if he gets that point though, if he gets to the point where he is at the same level as his sword as far as like defying all logic and reason, he won't die. He won't be exist because it will cancel out. You know what I'm saying? So in that sort of sense, neither one beats the other. You know what I'm saying? So I think that would be
Well,
at the point in time.
wouldn't that right there be an assumption fallacy?
Hmm?
Wouldn't that right there be a assumption fallacy? Or I mean, appeal to belief? No, argument from belief. Oh my god, I keep forgetting this.
Mm, not necessarily, but I mean, like in your case, that would be the same way too, because you're
How?
arguing that you believe that what that's describing is being above all logic and reason. You know what I'm saying? And if because what okay, so if the sword is above all reason and Shinji is above all reason, then how can you say one's stronger than the other when they both are irrelevant? Any reason that you put on them is irrelevant. You know what I'm saying? And if that is the case, then like you can't really have an outcome when
All right,
nothing would
so
work
they
with them.
cancel out then. So they
Yeah,
cancel
that's what
out
I'm
then.
saying. That's what I'm
All right,
saying.
so
Yeah, then
do you
just
just want to
becomes
go
a
to hacks
regular
then?
battle.
Yeah, just
Do
it
you,
just
do you want to go to just hacks then?
huh?
Do you want to just do hacks then? Like who has the better hacks? Since they both cancel each other out.
I would say as far as like that point in time, then yes, Shinji's hacks is a lot better than Ano's. But if you're comparing it to the sword, no, because even if it does defy all logic, because the sword's stronger than Shinji if you do that canceling out, because it would destroy all creation and all like that. No matter what, it's still relatively much stronger. But if you're comparing Shinji to Anos in that regard, then yeah, Shinji would win. But it's kind of
Well,
like a
Shinji
middle
doesn't.
ground because hmm?
Wait, say that again. Sorry.
So it's sort of like middle. It's like Shinji's not if you cancel out that if you cancel them out, I think the sword still has a lot more hacks and a lot more like overpowered than Shinji, but Anos isn't more overpowered than Shinji. You get what I'm saying? Because it's like Shinji beats Anos, sword beats Shinji. It's
How does
sort
the
of so
sword
it's
beat
like
Shinji though?
because okay, so you're if we're saying that they're above logic, then Shinji's existent eraser doesn't affect the sword, and that would mean that also the sword doesn't it doesn't affect that if it's like affect Shinji, because Shinji would defy all logic as well. But if you're what are we canceling out actually? Because if we're canceling out if we're saying who has more hacks, then yeah, Shinji can destroy everyone in his immediate existence, in immediate vicinity, like in his world, destroy this existence. But
All right. Well, my
the
main problem
sword,
with this sword is how is Anos gonna take it out? If Anos will be dead by the time that he even steps in that world. Anos won't have the time to not well. Anos won't be able to do anything by the time that that battle starts. Anos won't be able to pull out his sword. Anos won't be able to do anything. It's a passive ability that will murder Anos immediately. So you won't have time to pull out that sword.
and are we saying that time doesn't matter? We're not trying to scale by time, right? Because they cancel each other out.
Sure,
All right. Um,
I don't really care.
like I'm saying, if that's the case, then yes, he can. Shinji can theoretically beat Anos at that point, but it doesn't matter what he does to the sword. It's not gonna because the sword is basically like a part is bound to Anos. Okay, it's a part of him in a sense. I wouldn't say like they're connected to the point where if one goes, the other goes, but it's sort of in that sort of relationship. Now, to be
Wait, wait,
honest,
wait. We say what you just said. You just said that Anos would die, didn't you?
theoretically, if you cancel out all the other crap, then yes, theoretically. But
Wouldn't that
that's
be a
also
concession right there?
I it depends on like I would say so, but it's like it depends. It really depends because right now is it. Hold on, how is Evangeline story? Is that all completed? Right, that's all completed, right?
Huh? Evangelion? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
All right.
done. There's a movie coming out, but
All right.
yeah,
So the Misfit
as far as I
still
know.
isn't done. So all of these. So that's the same thing that I'll always say that sort of scaling Saitama is stupid because it's like you can't scale someone who you have no idea. That's the same, and who's not finished either. Because basically taking someone who's already has all of his powers known to someone who doesn't. So I would say, hey, maybe the sword could swipe itself. If the sword can actually physically like move itself, because it's a legendary sword, it's beyond law of logic, so that's technically true, right?
But
Then
wouldn't
that
that be an
would
assumption? That would also be another assumption fallacy.
the thing is with
Didn't
that.
you guys agree that
I,
the beyond logic points cancel each other out?
well,
Yeah.
yeah, but if like, yeah, I mean, it's all up in the air, I guess. But yeah, if you take everything like that, then yeah, that would be technically what happens. But even still, like
So Anos would die.
that's also without assuming that yes, but he was able to. I'm pretty sure he was able to bring himself back from non-existence. So if you take that, if that's how his regenerative ability is, then he can just come back, you know. And I don't know at what point one's stronger than the other. You get what I'm saying? Like which one would like? Because yeah, he can just keep on like dying, being raised from non-existence and being brought back. Because I mean, shit. If his sword can do the same thing, then if his sword can do the same thing like Shinji by destroying creation and returning people to nothingness, just like Shinji's passive ability can, then I don't know. It's like because there's nothing at this point. There's nothing but to assume or but to wait. You know, because we don't know exactly how far Anos can go and how far the sword can go. So at that point, then yes, Evangelion would be stronger, would be a lot better versus Anos. And if you raise them all the way to the peak, ignore everything like logic and whatnot, then yes, that is the case. However, I'm still going to say that at one point we'd have no idea because that's just like Saitama. You don't know anything right now. You can only do the feats. So if it's like feats wise or whatever, then I think you got me there.
All
But
right. So
I
do you want to go to conclusions now?
mm, yeah.
Like for both of the okay. Judges, we agree to go to conclusions. Momo, other Momo, Love is War.
Yeah. Oh,
Right. Wait, where's Love is War equals peak fiction? I thought he was can also judge. All right, but Momo, both of you,
okay.
aren't you all, bro? Aren't you all judges?
Okay.
All right. So who's gonna say the conclusions first?
I mean, is there even a need? The man conceded multiple times in the debate that Anos would die or lose.
Yeah.
So it's basically a concession.
Yeah.
I don't know why you guys need judgment.
I mean, yeah, I guess you're right.
Okay.
I mean, I'm still I'm gonna compare it to Saitama versus Goku because that's also sort of a similar thing. Like Saitama doesn't
Sure.
beat Goku. Goku annihilates Saitama at the moment, but in that
There's a
sort of sense,
boundless
we don't
skill
know.
for Saitama.
No,
There's a boundless skill for Saitama. He wouldn't.
there is.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that. I saw someone talking about he can destroy a mid-dimension or whatever, but I was always asking people, but they never actually gave me anything for it.
He
But I'm talking
destroys
about like
some,
anime-wise. I'm talking about anime-wise.
Oh, alright.
Because like in anime-wise, I don't know how far the manga goes, but in anime-wise, Saitama doesn't have enough feats to prove himself, and that's what mostly people argue against Saitama. And that's sort of the same thing with this. You can't argue something. You can't argue against Honest or scale Honest to that point because his character is still not done. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe if you read the light novel,
I really don't
so a
like
lot
the
of
light
it is
novels.
translated.
That's it. That also all is also true if we're talking about mistranslations or not. You know, and
True.
you never know what's mistranslated because I'm not Japanese. I'm not gonna, and I don't know Japanese. I'm not gonna let them translate shit that I don't know about. But yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Yo, guess who lost the debate? Guess who lost the debate, huh? Omniversal. Guess who lost? Speak up.
Huh?
What?
I negged him.
Anos took another L like usual.
Oh, who was using Honest?
Me. I mean, it's
Cypho,
like it's
you're
getting
trash. Stay
no.
quiet level. No, be quiet. No, stop. Don't just
No,
stop.
hear me out.
Omniversal State. Anos State's taking the L's.
It got to the point where we can the only thing we can do is assume what Honest can do because it's gotten to the utmost limit, and it's kind of hard to do that when. So it's like at that point, it's like there's nothing I could really say